Perfect.
There we go.
There it
So
is.
so loud every time. Logan Thomas, welcome to the Strive podcast. For those who may be watching this, I understand that you cannot see me. There's an issue with the camera, but we're here for Logan anyway, so you don't need to see my ugly mug anyway. So don't worry about me. I'll be all right. Logan,
Nah,
how are
you're
you?
the host. I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just back from teaching two classes. So I do two classes in a commercial gym every Monday evening, so at 6 and at 7. One's just like a strength class, and the other one is a core class. Um, I like the strength one a lot more than the core.
Yeah, I was gonna say one sounds
Yeah,
way more my speed than the other, but
yeah, it's kind of like tough though because it's a kind of like a small studio room like with a big kind of giant mirror behind it. You know, the kind of typical ones that
sure,
you'd
sure.
see
Hmm.
in commercial gyms because they're all about mirrors and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, they love to look at themselves, but um, it's tough because like in an ideal world, I would have it like full of like racks and barbells and like
Mhm.
but it's kind of basic equipment, um, which look is fine. I can still make it work, and like people still enjoy the classes, and that's great. And they still learn something every time they come in. But yeah, if I had my way, it would basically look like a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
I think that's how most people who have done CrossFit at some stage would probably feel. But
Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
once you've been in a CrossFit gym, it's really hard to beat it. Like you can just, there's so
yeah,
much that you can do with the equipment in there. And especially with all the free weights and barbells and everything, like you can really do any exercise you want. Whereas sometimes in, commercial gyms, you're a little bit more restricted with space and machines and whatever else. Like CrossFit is a really cool space, obviously, for the CrossFit training, but also just you can basically do anything you want.
yeah, exactly. And like, there's nothing like the feeling of dropping a barbell.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. Like I'm not currently in a CrossFit gym. I train out of a commercial gym at the moment, and like I can do like ollie lifting, but um, or Oli lifting. I know you say in America, only
Gotcha.
ollie. Um, but yeah, like we can only drop from the shoulder. So if we're doing cleans, it's fine. But like if there's like jerks or snatches or anything, I don't even attempt snatches to be honest because
Yeah,
um
that'd be hard.
like there's a big mirror behind me again, and like if I miss, it's just that mirror is gone.
I've
Um,
seen too many videos of people breaking things from missed lifts. So,
yeah, and snatch is just one of those where it's just like you just don't know sometimes how it's gonna go.
or yeah.
So if I knew I could control it back then, I'd be like, fine. But yeah, no, I'm not. I wouldn't take the chance. Um, but yeah, Logan, as I said, I want to really thank you for your time. I know you're busy with your training and with I'm sure all you have going on in your own life. Um, but I have a good few questions on my phone here for you, and like we might not hit them all, but I'm gonna throw some at you, and we'll see what comes out the other side, if that's
Definitely. Sounds
okay.
great.
Cool,
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
So basically, the first one is very basic. So I'm gonna hand it over to you. So if you could just tell us, listeners, viewers, a little bit about yourself, who you are, your background in maybe fitness or where you're from, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Colorado, which is kind of like central US, right around kind of like Rocky Mountains. So I was from suburbs of Denver, so we weren't in the mountains, but kind of like foothills. And basically just grew up being involved in just about every sport that a little kid could be involved in. But my main one was softball, and I kind of got really serious about that in high school, and I was fortunate enough to be recruited to play in college. So I actually played college softball at Dartmouth in New Hampshire, which is kind of northeastern United States. And so played 4 years there, or I guess 3.5 years there because I graduated in 2020. So it was kind of like
Oh,
at the
okay.
start, yeah, of COVID and all that was that fun time. And so we actually lost our senior season to COVID, which was definitely a bummer, but I'm, still lucky enough that I got to have, 3, almost 4 years of it. So life
Yeah.
wasn't too disrupted. But yeah, so everything got shut down for COVID and I went back to Colorado, finished up my last quarter at home. And it was kind of just an interesting time. The job that I thought I had lined up ended up kind of falling through because of the pandemic and everything that was going on. And so, like so many people did when faced with like, what do I do next? I decided to go to grad school. And so that's what led me to Virginia, which is where I still currently am. So I graduated spring of 2020, enrolled in grad school fall of 2020, moved out to Virginia, and was just kind of floating around for about a year. The interesting thing about college sports is that nobody really tells you anything about life or prepares you for life when you're done with college sports. And so
Yeah.
it's
I've
kind of,
heard that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then coupled that with the fact that like the whole world looked very, very different. So I was just kind of like drifting along. I was doing my program, but all of my classes were remote. And it was just a very interesting period where there was a couple Globo gyms in Charlottesville that were still like open. It was just, social distancing, masks, all of that. But I was able
Yeah.
to still go and work out, which was good because I would go absolutely crazy without gym access. But I didn't really know what I was doing with myself because, my whole time through high school and college, whatever, everything was so structured where I would just show up to the weight room and my coach would just say, this is what we're doing, this is how much of it we're doing, these are our lifts, this is our conditioning, this is our practice, whatever. You just show up and you do it. And I always loved training, like I loved the lifting, conditioning side of things. But it was always very programmed for me. And so now I was kind of like on my own, just sort of like I guess I'll back squat 5 times this week because, it's open and I don't know what else to do with myself. Um, and so it was really just not like a great, mindset or like relationship with training in the gym and that sort of thing, but I didn't really know any different. And so I
Yeah.
kind of did that for about a year. And then I started interning at a company when I was finishing my degree. And one of my coworkers, as I just kind of got to know him, he had done CrossFit formerly. And so as I
Ah.
got to know him, he was like, you should try this CrossFit thing. Like it would totally be up your alley. You would absolutely love it. And I was kind of hesitant because I told myself after I was done with college, I was never gonna, get my heart rate up again unless I absolutely had to. Like I was always very much more like I want to lift, I don't want to run. Like why would I do conditioning voluntarily? Um,
And then you
so
chose to do something that would do it in the worst way
I
possible.
I know, isn't that it's so weird to look at where I am now versus where I was then because
Yeah.
it's just like a daily thing where it's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go, do this really, really hard stuff. My heart rate's gonna be through the roof, my breathing is gonna be all over the place, and I'm gonna have fun doing it and go and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So things have definitely changed.
Yeah. We're glutton for
Um,
punishment in the community.
Oh, definitely. And especially for me, so I run a lot right now. Like I'm a very strong athlete. Running is still something that I'm working on. So I'm spending a lot of my time running
Okay.
and running was always a thing that I hated so much. So if I could go back, if I told, 22-year-old me or whatever that, you're going to be running like 4 times a week and on a whole running progression and all these things, she would just be like, absolutely not. You've got me mixed up with someone else. There's no way. So yeah, time really flies and things change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I just, I got to talking with him and then I was just like I realized I needed a change. Like what I was doing in the gym was just not it wasn't great just like mentally and all of that. And so I was like, whatever, why don't I just try it, see what happens. And so I just reached out to the CrossFit gym that he had used to go to and I set up a little foundations trial. I did my 3 onboarding sessions and then signed right up for the,
Oh,
unlimited monthly membership. And that would have been fall of 21. And here we are, what, almost like 5 years later, I guess. Yeah, so
I love that there's like, sorry to cut across you. I love that there's like three, like the, a lot of CrossFit gyms are still doing like those kind of like foundational onboarding like classes or lessons, whatever you want to call them. Because like I think that's exactly what I did when I started in 2018.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I had never like snatched before. We had done a couple of hang cleans in college with one of my strength coaches,
Yeah.
But we didn't really learn how to do it. It was just, okay, do this thing. So I barely knew how to clean. I'd never snatched before. I don't have a gymnastics background, so I knew none of that. So
Oh,
that session, not that we did a whole deep dive into like, here's how you do handstands and whatever, but just being educated on the terminology, even like what is an EMOM, what is an AMRAP, this is how you kip. Yeah, it definitely helped. I was still, so far behind. I feel like when I did my first ever class, you still have to learn these things and practice them and get good at them.
oh yeah.
But yeah, that little onboarding kind of pathway definitely made a huge difference. And I know a lot of gyms now, like they might offer it, but they don't require it, or some don't even offer
Yeah.
it. And you'll definitely see it with people who come into class with that kind of background. Where, it's
Yeah.
not that they can't learn it, they do learn it, but it's so much harder to learn those things when you're already in a class context where it's like, hey, I need help with this, but there's also, 10 other people who the coach is trying to put through
Oh
the
yeah.
workout. So I think, yeah, having that little kind of like one-on-one, or I know some gyms do like a small group foundation. So it's, 3 or 4 people and a coach who are all brand new to it. But I think it's so impactful for kind of getting people interested. Because CrossFit can also be intimidating, right? Like if I show
Oh
up and
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing and I feel super unathletic and all of this, like odds of me wanting to come back are much lower than, hey, here's, we're gonna help you learn it. So
Yeah. Do you think your athletic kind of background before you did CrossFit helped you kind of take to it a bit more easier
yeah, for
than most?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I've always been very strong, even in high school and college and all of that, and that has definitely carried over a lot. Where I had to learn how to clean and snatch and all of that, but I didn't really have to spend a whole lot of time building up that strength foundation for it.
Yeah.
And then I think just things with, mobility and like functionality. So, I was a softball player, but I swam in high school, and I think that's been hugely helpful too because I've got pretty good shoulder mobility. And so I think that contributes a lot. I mean, all of us kind of are products of our, upbringing and backgrounds, and you can see it in
Yeah.
basically everybody in the sport and everybody in life. It's just a unique combination of the factors that make us us. But yeah, I definitely think like doing all the different sports that I did and going through, the regimented side of things definitely laid the groundwork for both my like actual athletic performance in the sport, but also things like, mental resilience and fortitude and just choosing to do the hard thing day after day.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from just my background in that.
What were your what were your family like when it came to you doing for actually are you an only child or do you have siblings or
Yeah, I have one older brother, and he was a college baseball player. And it's funny, he
okay.
and my sister-in-law actually just joined a CrossFit gym this
Oh,
past
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I like to think
No.
I got them into it. But yeah, he kind of paved the way for me kind of in the early days, and now he's kind
That's
of getting
cool.
back into my side of things now. So
Awesome. But yeah, my original question was going to be what were your family like in terms of um you and your brother like in sports? Like did they kind of push you to kind of like endure stuff even if it was hard, or did they kind of just take a back seat and were like, whatever happens, happens, or what way did your
yeah.
parents approach that?
Yeah, no, I'm so lucky. My parents were so insanely supportive of basically anything that my brother and I wanted to pursue. They were never the type where they were not going to force us to do something that we absolutely hated. But they were going to hold us accountable to things. And
No.
so like going through the recruiting process and all of that, if I said, hey, my goal is to play in college, my parents they weren't gonna force me to do all of this stuff if they knew I hated it, but they were very much, hey, if that's your goal, if you want to do that, you have to do the things that are gonna get you there. And so I remember days with my dad where, we would go out and just do, extra reps and extra practice stuff until it got dark. And maybe I didn't necessarily always want to do it,
Yeah.
but he would kind of remind me like, hey, this is the goal. And I never regretted doing it at the end of the day. And so they were always, and they showed up to everything. And even now, my dad traveled to Miami actually at Wodapalooza this last weekend.
Oh, that's
On
awesome.
kind of short notice to see me there. And so they've always been so supportive, um, both in terms of like showing up, but also kind of helping with that drive to like remind yourself why you're chasing what you're chasing and what it takes to get there. So I'm really lucky to have them in my corner for sure.
That's cool. were your parents athletic themselves?
Yeah, so my dad played sports growing up. He was baseball and football. I think he played a little bit of football in college. And my mom was not. She was very much more musical oriented. And
Hmm.
so it was important to both of them that growing up we kind of had both. So we played sports, but then I also learned piano and violin. But
Wow.
one definitely won out. Like, don't ask me to play anything now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I can get by. I can't read music super well anymore. If you gave me like a week, I could kind of get back into it. But if you just
Yeah.
gave me a piano tomorrow and said, "Hey, sit down and play something," I would like play a couple chords that I have memorized, and that would be kind of it. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, but growing up, they wanted us to be able to be like versatile because you don't know that your kid when they're like 8 years old, you don't know what their future is going to be and if they're going to take
Right.
sports to any sort of level. And so they wanted us in sports to stay active, but also to build that kind of teamwork and those different like interpersonal and social skills, but then also just be exposed to other sides of life. So,
Yeah, like it's definitely important or just a good thing all around to be as I suppose multi-skilled as possible.
mhm.
Um like I suppose especially for young girls like there's I don't know if it's a like it's probably just a cultural thing like where a lot of them give up on sports at an early age or like give up on music or skills like that at an early age. So it's great to see like people like yourself that have remained in something like nearly your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish I stuck with it. Like we would always joke growing up, like when is a piano ever gonna, be relevant in day-to-day life? But the amount of times where I've been somewhere and there has been a piano is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
I wish
but
I could play an instrument. I tried to learn guitar when I was in school, but I just didn't have the
yeah,
patience for it. So yeah, I wasn't like the most musical person, but yeah, it would have been nice to learn something like that.
yeah.
Um, do you have a go-to like playlist or type of music when you train?
I listen to a variety of stuff. So I'm big, I don't really have one specific genre that I love, but I get really fixated on certain songs. And so I'll go through
Oh,
phases with things. And so my current playlist that I play in the gym all the time that probably drives people crazy, it's just titled Appropriate Levels of Angst and Pop. Because it's a mix, it's got like some Fall Out Boy and like Panic at the Disco, like 5 Seconds of
love that.
Summer. But it also has like Taylor Swift, which I know is sometimes controversial, but some of her songs are just great in the gym. Um,
No, no, we're Swifties in this house.
yeah, okay, good, good,
Oh
good. I
yeah.
thought you were gonna go the other direction for a second. I was like, listen, we might have to end this call right now.
Uh,
Um,
I wasn't
yeah,
before I
so
met my partner, but ever since, yeah, it's been like
yeah. I've
nonstop.
gone through phases. So I was a big Taylor Swift kid, like growing up when she was kind of in her country era. And then I just stopped listening for a while. And it actually wasn't until kind of getting back into CrossFit. One of my training partners is also a big Taylor Swift fan. And originally I was like very like, okay, whatever, yeah, yeah, yeah. But he's definitely gotten me back on the T Swift trend. So for better or
Is
worse,
it
here we
is it
are.
is Hannah your training partner? Is she
She's
the
one
is,
of them. I was referring to Luke Burns. I don't know if
oh,
you
okay.
know Luke, but and I mean, Hannah and I all train together at our
Ah,
gym.
okay.
And so yeah, but Luke is the one, he's like very Taylor Swift. And so now I'm probably more Taylor Swift than he is, but he's the reason why. He's the root.
Ah,
He's the root of the issue
is
at
the
hand.
root cause.
Yeah.
Have you seen her live?
I have not. Luke actually has. Yeah, he went to the Eras tour and everything, but I have not. The closest I've come is just like on Disney Plus, they put the tapings of the Eras tour up.
Yeah. I've
And
seen
so I
that. I've
have
seen that a
seen
few
both of
times.
those. Yeah, they're so good. They're so good. I never really used to be a concert person because I was always kind of like, well, I know the music, so why would I go pay to see it live? But I don't know. Now I've might have changed my mind and I really wish I could go. So next
Would you
time she
be
does a big global tour, sign me up. Yeah.
would you be a Sabrina Carpenter fan as well?
I don't like her as much. I feel like all of her songs kind of sound vaguely the same to me. And so
Okay.
some of them I like in like a gym mix, but I just don't think she's as great of a lyricist as Taylor Swift. But that might just be me saying that, just like. because that's what everybody says. But
Yeah,
I'm not like a music aficionado, so I shouldn't really be like commenting on, this is why someone's brilliant and this is why someone isn't. I'm just not as big of a Sabrina Carpenter fan. But some of her songs are very catchy and they do get stuck in my head, so I will give her credit for that.
yeah. We traveled to see her in New York, and
Cool.
yeah, it was. To be honest, it was probably one of the best concerts I've been to. And like, I know
Really?
there's some people out there going to be like, "Yeah, you were just creeping on her or some shit," but it was, it genuinely was a good show. Like, it was very entertaining.
I've
And
seen
like,
clips. Like it seems
yeah,
like she's a really good performer. Mhm.
yeah, and like what I thought was really funny was like I was like really into the show, but like I was looking around and there was like a lot of like you could tell boyfriends that were dragged to the show and did not
Oh,
want to be and
oh
yeah,
yeah,
and like their
yeah.
girlfriend was just so like hyped up and they were just like, oh, where am
Just
I?
there for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah, just there for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
oh,
hopefully at
that's
least some of them became fans after the fact. I feel like it's hard to
yeah.
sit through any concert and not get a little bit kind of tied up in the excitement of it. So,
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah, I'd be much more a country music fan now myself, so I'm like a Luke Combs or a
yeah,
Wallen
I'm big.
guy.
I'm
So.
big on country. So Hannah actually is a huge Morgan Wallen fan, and so anytime I
Ah,
ask her, I'm like, "Hey, give me a song, give me a playlist to put on." It's usually country, which I'm fine with. I like country as well. So, and if somebody else cues it up, then I'm not the one who gets like reamed
yeah.
for playing it in the gym. So,
I know there's that whole joke of like they're always about the like country's music is always about the same thing, like it's someone's truck
yeah,
or like a dog or like some
yeah.
horrifying breakup. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it for me.
Hey, if
Um,
it's to a good beat, like I'm fine with that.
absolutely. Um, but yeah, you touched on Wodapalooza. That
Mhm.
was last weekend. How did that go?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. It was chaotic, as Wodapalooza I feel like always is.
Yeah.
But I had such a good time. So I was actually kind of a late addition to it because so Hannah had put together a team because she got an invite from how her team did at the games last year. And so she put
Oh,
together a team with Ava George, who's a proven athlete who also was on a team at the games
yeah.
last
I know
year.
you about yeah.
And they had a third person. I don't remember what happened to the original third person, but then they asked Kendall Gilmore, who's just another proven athlete who trains with
Ah,
Ava.
okay.
And so that was their team. But like, I don't know, about a month before maybe, Kendall had to withdraw because I think she was injured. I don't know her personally, but I think she was injured.
Ah,
And so they needed someone. And so Hannah was like, hey, I know it's kind of short notice. I don't know if you're interested, but like, do you want to do Wodapalooza with me and Ava? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm 100% down. Like, I don't have to do the qualifier. Like, I just get myself to Miami and we'll do this really fun event. So I was like, yeah, I was in. And it was so much fun. Again, like I mean, everybody's kind of seen and talked about, all the rain and the cancellations and, all
yeah.
that fun stuff. But the actual like everything we did was a fun time. So we were elite teams and so we competed Saturday and then Sunday we had corralled to do 26.3. So the way they did it for I think all teams, but elite teams, was they had 40 athletes on the floor at a time. It was, basically one athlete from each team for guys and girls. And so athlete one went while athlete two was corralled, and then athlete two was supposed to go, and then athlete
Ah,
three was supposed
yeah.
to go. Because we all did it as an individual, and then they
Yeah.
summed our scores. And so I was
Did
athlete
you
two.
did you like
And
that or
so
how did you feel about that?
yeah, I mean, so I had already done Hannah and I did the open workout before we went down to Wodapalooza just because we knew, there you never know with like Miami in the spring and rain and
Yeah.
everything and we just didn't want to leave because we're going team for the games this year. Hannah, myself, Luke, who I mentioned, and then Riley Good as our
Ah,
fourth. And so we didn't want to leave anything up to chance when we knew that like we needed our open scores for like the games and for semifinals and stuff. And so we actually hit the workout right when it came out on Thursday afternoon. Like we watched the open announcement and then like 20 minutes later we just did the workout, flew to Miami
ah,
Friday morning. So I wasn't really that stressed about what was going on with 26.3 at Wodapalooza. I was like, we can use it as a repeat, but we've already got a score in. And so whatever happens, however they want us to do the format, it's great. In terms of, and I understand why they had to do it the way they did because everybody needed their own individual score.
yeah.
Generally
Yeah.
for teams, I don't love it when workouts are just summed from the individual scores, just because I feel like that's not really, the,
It's
the
not a
team
team.
component of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was also such a cool opportunity for Wodapalooza to partner with the games and like to do the open at an event like that. So I understand why they
Yeah.
did it the way they did. And it wouldn't have been, as big of a bummer if we'd gotten to do like the other two events as well. Um, and it was really cool doing it there. So I was athlete too. So I didn't get to do it at like Miami Beach because we went into a rain delay right after athlete one finished. So
Okay.
basically, we were like about to go onto the floor and they saw lightning. And so then it started the cycle of like delay, 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 delay. But it was really cool because we ended up doing it at CrossFit Miami Beach that evening.
I
So I
saw
think
that. I
yeah,
saw
so
everyone did it there, didn't they?
yeah, all the elite teams did for sure. I think for
Yeah.
the other divisions, they just basically sent out a list of the affiliates who had offered to open their doors. And basically were like, hey, all these gyms have waived the drop-in fee. You can go do the workouts there. But elite teams, they sent an email basically saying like, we are doing 26.3. It is contributing to your Wodapalooza score, so it's kind of like a non-negotiable. I mean, you could not do it and then your team just gets a zero for your score. But they were like actually formally putting on heats to let the elite teams like
Ah,
finish that out and get a fourth score for the overall competition. And so yeah, we Ubered over to CrossFit Miami Beach and warmed up and hit kind of like a very like old-fashioned kind of CrossFit Friday Night Lights-esque type of
open
deal.
style.
It was really, really cool. Especially because I feel like so in 2022, my first open, I did one of the workouts as like a Thursday night face-off kind of thing that my gym was
Ah,
putting
okay.
on. But since then, I really hadn't done any of like the open or quarterfinals or anything in that kind of really hype environment until the first open workout this year. We put on a little thing with my gym. Just because I was always doing it at different times because I was filming or whatever else. And so it was just such a cool environment to be able to do the open workout with like a ton of screaming people who were right there. And like I just remember, I don't even know who was around me, but I was like doing burpees over my barbell and someone was literally like right in my ear, like, just screaming like go,
Screaming in
go.
your
Yeah.
ear.
And so it
Were,
was it was really cool.
were you in the
So
same
a bummer for the team, but
were you in
what's
the
that?
same spot as were you in sorry, were you in the same spot as Hopper and Medeiros and
Ooh,
all
I don't remember exactly where they were. So I was on like the main side of the floor in like the back right corner by like the assault runners. I don't remember from the
ah,
videos where everybody was.
yeah, it looked like chaos.
Yeah, it was, but like the best kind of chaos. Like it was so much fun. So yeah, that was kind of like, a bummer that the weekend and Sunday specifically didn't go the way that it was slated to.
Yeah.
But of all the ways it could have gone down, I think that was still a really cool experience to get to be a part of and do. So it was hectic, but definitely enjoyable. Yeah.
Was that your first Wodapalooza or have you
It
done
was my
it before?
second. So I went 2 years ago on RX teams of three. It was just both of my training partners at the time were moving out of Virginia. And so we just did kind of, fun Wodapalooza as like a send-off for them,
Yeah.
which was really cool and special just in a very different way. Um, this was, I think, just overall more like fun vibes, I think. That one, it was very much like emotional send off, whatever. This one was just kind of
Yeah.
like, all right, like we're here to have a great time and we're gonna go do the workouts, we're gonna throw down, we're gonna have fun. And just, do what we came here to do. So, and it was also, so I didn't go last year, so this was my first time seeing the new venue as well. Which
Ah,
was pretty
okay.
cool. Yeah. I liked the old venue, but I think this one was a lot more accessible, which was kind of
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Didn't get as much
Yeah.
time to kind of walk around it as we would have liked, but it was cool.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, was did you prefer Bayfront or the new venue? But you prefer the new venue?
I think so. Bayfront was really cool just because it was so, condensed and there was that one main center
Yeah.
stage and everything was happening around that center stage and it was
Yeah.
like a really
Flagler
cool
one.
environment. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And it was just a really cool environment and there was so much going on. But I think in terms of like smoothness of the weekend, this venue I think is a little bit more conducive to that.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So kind of different vibes, but I do think I prefer this one over the original one, Bayfront
Was it
Stadium.
because obviously it's on was it Miami Beach or South Beach, or is that the same place? Or I'm not too familiar with the area.
I have
Is it?
no idea.
It was just on a beach. It was just
I
on
know it was
a
Miami
beach.
Beach. We were on the sand. We did a run on the sand. So,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
ocean was
yeah.
right there. We actually ran in the ocean for part of it, so that was fun. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like you had to wade in the water or something. Like it wasn't a
Yeah,
swim, it wasn't a run.
it
It
was
was.
weird. It
I
was
did
fun,
something like that before. I d-
Yeah, how
I
often do you
j-
do
I
that?
don't know if you know the Atlantic Coast Classic down in Daytona Beach.
Yeah,
But I had to do something like that, like back in 2022. It was like a beach run, and then in the middle it was supposed to be a swim, but then they had like a storm or something, so they had to like change it slightly.
yeah,
And like it was just like it was just weird because you're just like waiting. You don't know whether to swim or to just keep walking or like in the water. You're just like it's so
yeah.
weird.
It was really awkward, especially, I mean, like, I like swimming, so I would love it if it was like a true swim event. But that was kind
Yeah,
of a weird, I mean, exactly like you said, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be like trying to walk normally right now, or like kind of float or hop or like
yeah.
paddle. Yeah, it was weird. But it was cool. I
Did
mean, you
you?
don't get to do stuff like that super often, so, or ever.
Yeah,
That was the first time I'd done that. So,
yeah.
but
Did
yeah.
you feel like do you think like you, Hannah and Ava worked together very well that weekend?
Yeah, I think so. So I had never met Ava actually until like Friday night.
Oh.
And so Hannah and I had practiced a couple of the workouts because we did, so Hannah, Luke, and I are all out of Virginia, but our fourth teammate Riley is from Alabama. And so he had to
Ah,
drive up to do the open out of Solidarity, our gym. And so
yeah.
we basically just turned the open into kind of like team training while he was here. And so, as part of our team training, we did the LATAM Cup teams of four workouts. We didn't do them
Oh,
entirely as written, we kind of twisted them up a little bit. But we used that as like our team training. And those were kind of similar to the workouts that elite teams of three ended up doing at Wodapalooza. So, Hannah and I had practiced a couple of them a little bit. And obviously, Hannah and I trained together a lot. So, we kind of had a good idea of, what we would mesh with and that sort of thing. And then Hannah knows Ava, but I didn't. So considering the fact that we didn't really have a whole lot of touches on the workouts like at all and no touches together, I think we
yeah,
gelled super well. Everything basically went according to how we planned it. Now, granted, the three workouts on Saturday, I think were a little bit more cut and dry in terms of, the strategy. Like one is just a run, and so everybody ran on their own, like
yeah,
easy. The snatch event, we kind of had an idea going in just because we knew, roughly like what people were good at, who was going to be able to handle each barbell, whatever. And then the last one was the relay style, like legless box jump snatch. So those
oh
are
yeah,
pretty simple workouts to try and strategize as a team of three.
yeah,
Who knows on Sunday? Like we were pretty excited for those workouts. We had a plan for them, but who knows when we're actually out there on the floor trying to do the synchro everything and split everything. Maybe that would have gone differently than how we envisioned
yeah.
it. But for what we did, yeah, it was we gelled pretty well, I think.
That's cool. I feel like that the box jump with the step down has really
Mhm.
been catching a lot of people out this year.
Yeah.
Like with the open and then with that workout in Wodapalooza, it was just like you just forget
Yeah.
so easily.
Yeah, I actually prefer the step down. I feel like I get in just a much more of a rhythm with it. So I kind of
Yeah.
don't love it when we can do whatever we want because then that means I kind of have to jump down. And I'm not good
Yeah.
at rebounding. Like a lot of people will do that rebound. I don't love the rebound. So I don't mind the step down. It's just so the difference at Wodapalooza is that they had the wide boxes. And
Oh
so
yeah.
like when you're doing box jump step downs at your gym or whatever, it's like for girls, it's the 20-inch box. So the top is what, like 24 inches across or something.
24 inches. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of whatever. But there, I don't know how wide it was across, but it was definitely wider. And so you
Yeah.
had to actually like make a concerted effort to like jump far enough across so you could do the little like slide your foot off the edge sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I had a couple where I definitely like didn't quite get as far as I wanted to, and so it was like a little awkward with that footing. But yeah, in general, I like the step down. It's just hard with like the wider boxes. Whereas like if you're jumping, it's just kind of like, all right, hop up and over and you're good to go. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely would have been like harder to kind of swing your leg around on
mhm.
that on that
Yeah.
box. Did you have a favorite workout over the weekend?
Yeah, I think that one actually.
That one?
I've been working on my legless rope climbs a lot, and I love a 70-pound dumbbell snatch. And so that workout was like, I saw that come up, and I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. It's one legless at a time. Like these are chilling, and then I get to have some fun with the 70. So I really liked that one. The snatch workout was fun. I also like snatches. I shredded my hands on the barbell, which it seems like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
That was a little bit.
Yeah, did you see I think it was Jessica Androsik. Her entire both of her hands were like
Really?
wrapped up so much in like tape and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I saw a
Um
couple people that had the whole. It was crazy. For me, it
yeah.
was just my fingers, so it definitely could have been worse. But yeah, I picked up the barbell, did my first, I don't remember exactly how many I did, but I did my first reps at the first barbell. I drop it and I see like a little dot of red on the barbell, and I was like, oh shoot. And I looked down at my hand and it had like already ripped. And
Oh.
so it's so funny because all of the photos from that event and like every time my team is like on the live stream or whatever, you just see me at the chalk bucket, just like rubbing chalk all over my hands. And so, and I use a lot of chalk anyway. I'm a big proponent of like, hey, if you clean it up after, you can do whatever you want. And I
Yeah.
always clean it
Yeah.
up after. So I like probably overuse chalk anyway. But yeah, I'm still getting so much grief for that because everybody is like, there's like a 15-second clip of you on the live stream chalking your hands. And I'm like, listen, I had a ton of blood on my hands. I was just trying to do
Uh,
whatever I could so that I could grip the barbell.
I'm gonna have
Um,
to go back and watch that because I didn't
yeah.
see that. I'm gonna have to
I
go
actually,
back
the
and
clip
watch.
is on my, if you go on my Instagram, it's actually like, I have like a Wodapalooza picture and I put that clip in there just because like so many people had brought it.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
That barbell workout with the bike that looked very like stink that looked tough. Like
Yeah.
that was
It
grip and rip.
Yeah, very much so. And I think like with the heavy dubs too. Now Ava is great at dubs and she's like, I'll do all the heavy dubs you guys want. And we were like, great, please take them. But yeah, the heavy dubs definitely kind of like get your shoulders and your grip a little bit fired up. And then like we kind of had it rotating. So like I started on the dubs, went to the bike, and then was the first on the barbell.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like you get like your shoulders and your grip kind of fired up, and then I had a little bit of break on the bike, but is the bike really a break? Never.
No,
Um, and
never.
then like going to the barbell, and so it's like yeah, the hang snatches always feel a little bit different when you've got them mixed with other things like that versus if you're just cycling a barbell in the gym. So,
Yeah.
but it was fun. I
Well,
mean, that's why you do stuff like that, right? Where it's like
oh,
it's a combo that I
100%.
wouldn't, yeah. So.
Well, what was your team name?
We were the Proven Co. So Hannah
Ah,
follows the Imam company. That's like her training. That's like the programming that she follows. And then Ava is a proven athlete, and
okay.
Kendall was a proven athlete. So when they made the team, they like merged the names. So it's like Proven from Ava, and then the
Ah,
Co is from the Imam Co. But it very much just kind of reads like an ad for Proven. So you
yeah.
know, but
And
yeah.
what program do you follow?
Yeah, so I'm not part of like an affiliated training camp or anything like that. I have an
Oh,
individual coach, Connor Duddy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He
I
was
know
a
Connor. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's the best.
He went
So
to the
he
games
actually
three
yeah,
times, maybe
twice. So
more.
he went to
But
the games in 2019 and then qualified in 2020, but it was,
oh yeah.
yeah. So he didn't make it to the final like five at the ranch or whatever they did that year.
Ah,
Yeah, so technically only competed at the games once, but like a two-time games athlete, I guess.
ah.
And then yeah, so he only recently retired, I think maybe 2 years ago, but he had a stretch of just like injuries and stuff at the worst possible
Okay.
time. So he never made it back. But like if you saw him train, even at kind of towards the end of his career, like he's wicked fit. And even now,
Yeah.
like he'll test workouts and stuff for us sometimes. And he's always so funny when he tells us how it went. He didn't do the open like officially this year. I don't think he did the second workout, but he did the first and the third. And he would text us after he did it. And he's just like, after the wall ball one, he's like, I don't think I've done a wall ball in a year. So I'm laying on the ground and I can't feel my quads right now. And we're like, okay, but like you're kind of underselling it because you're still super fit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I love the kind of that kind of standard that people hold for themselves because I've worked with people like that are the same that if they've been insanely fit at one point,
Hmm.
then like if they're slightly less than that, they're like, I'm not fit. I'm not fit. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. That's exactly how he is. Like, we'll keep trying to drag him out of retirement to do things with us. And he's just like, listen, it's not that I don't want to. It's just like, I know how good I used to be, and I know how bad I would have to hurt to do that now. And I'm just not
Yeah.
interested in doing it. And he's got two kids now, too. So, I mean, his life looks
Okay.
very different. But yeah, we still try to get him to kind of throw down with us. And one of these days we'll succeed. But
That's cool.
yeah.
I'll have to
But
get
so
it. I'll have to shoot him a DM sometime and try and get him on here.
yeah, you should. He's right now his training, he'll like train in his garage sometimes, but he's on this like handstand 365 journey. So he's not super active on social media, but at least once a day you can count on an Instagram story of him doing his handstand training in his garage. So yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try and pick an opportune time to try and okay, reach out
Yeah.
reach out to
Yeah,
Connor
he's
and get
great.
him on.
So he when he was competing, at least towards the end of it, he was a training think tank athlete. And so we've got like a good relationship with a lot of the coaches at Training Think Tank, but we aren't like associated myself. So he programs for me, and then my training partner Luke as well. Connor coaches him. So, and he's got a
Ah,
couple other
okay.
athletes, but we're the two who are still kind of in Charlottesville. And when we started, well, I don't know, Luke's been doing CrossFit forever. But when I started, Connor was actually at Solidarity, which is my gym in town. And
Yeah.
so when I started doing CrossFit like competitively, it was actually like the owner of the gym that I started CrossFit at basically sent me over to the gym that I'm at now to work with Connor. Because he's like, hey, if you want to
Okay.
do this competitively, like there's a games athlete and a coach who's like 5 minutes across town, like you should go work with him. And so I got to work with him for a couple years before he and his wife moved to Richmond when they had their first kid. So
Ah, okay. And you're in Charlottesville? Is that?
Charlottesville. Yeah, so it's just about an hour away from us. It's really not. He'll come into town from time to time, and sometimes we'll get to like kind of train in front of him and stuff. So it's not, it's not super crazy far, but
Yeah, yeah. Did you so you've been to Wodapalooza before? Sorry to go to kind of go back to that. I kind of made that switch. Did
but I went
really
off on a whole tangent. So you got to keep me on track because I'll
No,
yak.
no, it's fine. I'm the same. Sometimes I'll just go off on a tangent. Um, that mug is huge. What do you got in there?
Yeah, this is my favorite mug. This is just tea right now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's a huge mug. It's really,
You
really great.
leave
It's great
you
for like
leave you,
soups and stuff.
you leave the bag in.
Okay, well, I made this mug like 20 minutes before we hopped on this call, so like I had to leave the bag in.
Okay. See, that's
Or at
yeah.
least that's what I say.
This
Listen,
side of the
this is also microwave tea, so I know people have
microwave
concerns about
tea,
that. Yeah, you just microwave it. You just, you heat it in the
Wait,
microwave instead of like the kettle.
as in it went cold and you just microwaved it, or
No,
you
as in
started
I
it
didn't
off.
want to boil water, and so I
Oh my!
put water in a mug, and then I microwaved it for 2 minutes, and then I put the tea bag in it, and then here we are on this call.
Oh, there's like Irish people listening to this that are like
I was gonna
dousing
say,
themselves in holy water. They're just
I was like, I shouldn't say this because I know that like some of this audience is probably like sending death threats after
big
that,
tea
but
drinkers,
like, you know, hey, it
massive,
worked.
massive tea drinkers, and like they're yeah, some people are just like yeah, dousing themselves in holy water right now.
I've been
Very
making an effort. I do own a kettle now. So
okay.
I do, yeah, I've been making an effort to make it more like actual, like, okay, boil water and whatever else. But the
Ah,
tried and
okay.
true. I use the microwave for a lot of things that you probably shouldn't use the microwave for, but it's never let me down. So
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I've heard of people like, here like if their tea kind of goes cold, they'll pop it in the microwave, but I haven't heard of using it in the original like the
I mean,
first
it's
place.
no
That's so
different. Like if you're gonna reheat
okay.
water, then like what's the difference between just heating up that way the first time?
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
drink are you much of a coffee drinker?
I'm not a coffee drinker, no.
Okay.
I'll sometimes do it for like the vibe. Like if it's hot, I'll
Yeah,
get just like a nice coffee. But the caffeine doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And so I
yeah,
was kind of like, well, the caffeine doesn't really help me, but all the studies and everything show that maybe it's not great for sleep or whatever. And I don't really want to spend the money on coffee. So I just kind of
yeah.
stopped drinking after college. I was big, like, this is just going to make it worse. We should stop talking about, beverages and stuff. Because I was big, like, caramel macchiato kind of girl in college, which is
Yeah,
just milk and sugar, basically. Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
Such a
We
white
can
girl
move on to
drink.
a different topic.
It's
I know Taylor Swift, microwave tea, and caramel macchiatos. This is
yeah.
great for my image for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a massive coffee person either. Like
But
I'll drink it, but I don't feel like the caffeine doesn't oh excuse me.
yeah,
The caffeine doesn't really do anything for me. Like I think like,
yeah,
if I was to kind of like want something to wake me up, it would probably be like an energy drink or something, which I know is not exactly better, but that's more likely to wake me up than coffee.
it works. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I take like pre-workout from time to time, not so much anymore, but I took it in college a couple times. And that will definitely kind of, so it's
yeah,
definitely like there are levels to it. Coffee's just,
yeah,
I'd probably have to drink like way more coffee than would be optimal to actually
yeah.
wake up from caffeine. So.
Would you be strict with your sleep and routine in that way?
Yeah. That's I think one of the biggest changes for me now that I'm training as like an adult choosing to do a sport versus when I was like in college. I think I
Yeah,
never realized you always hear, sleep and nutrition and all of that, but I never realized how impactful those were.
yeah,
Until now. And part of that just might be the fact that I'm not like living on the invincibility of a 20-year-old anymore. But yeah, I'm definitely way more strict about like my sleep routine and my sleep hygiene and nutrition now than kind of like I ever was. And I can definitely feel a difference, like training off of a day where I get like 9 hours of sleep versus a day where I'm even like at seven.
yeah,
It's different. And so I'm not always like as disciplined as I should be with it. But I definitely make it way more of a priority now. And
do
it
you have do you have like a routine with it? Like, so like, are you, I know some people drink like Beam and some people
Mhm.
like kind of listen to like rain sounds and stuff. Like, would you have
Yeah.
anything like that, or do you just kind of just close the blinds and try and go to sleep?
Yeah, so a lot of times it looks like the latter, but I've been trying to build it out a little bit more to be more of like an actual wind down routine because I mean all the stuff out there says that like if you can kind of get in that pattern to actually help
Yeah,
yourself wind down and calm down and get the CNS to kind of chill out, then like you'll get, deeper sleep, better recovery, all of that. So I don't do like sleep aids or anything like Beam or even magnesium and stuff like that. I don't really do that. But I have tried to start basically like a warm drink kind of like at bedtime, whether that's like
yeah.
caffeine-free tea or I have like collagen that's like chocolate flavored. And so I'll like
Oh,
microwave it and I'll do like hot chocolate before bed.
that sounds good.
Um and kind of use that as like the start to my wind down routine. So maybe I'm just like
Yeah.
watching something on TV or hopefully not watching something on TV. I've been trying to kind of like get away from that, but maybe like reading. And I'm trying to start like journaling more too, which has
Ah,
had like mixed success. I was on like a really good streak of it for a while, and then I traveled somewhere and kind of haven't gotten back into it.
yeah.
But just like getting thoughts and stuff out there so that it's not like in my brain when I go to sleep.
Yeah. I
A
know a lot of
couple.
athletes journal.
Mhm.
I remember listening to Ben Bergeron, and I think you're familiar with Ben Bergeron, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. But he was big on getting like all his athletes to do journaling. And like a lot of people keep suggesting it to me every once in a while. And like it's something that I'm resistant on, but I don't know why. I think it's just like, oh, the effort of getting a book and writing down stuff, and you're just like, what do I even write? Or, was it like that for you?
I think it was at first, because I very much view journaling as like, dear diary, like let me write my date and tell you all the things that I did today. And I was like, well, I don't want to sit here for, a half an hour trying to have a whole conversation with this book about whatever, the life that I already lived.
Yeah,
But then I had the advice from someone that was basically just like start small with it. Like it doesn't need to be a whole essay. Like literally just open your journal and write down, 5 things that you're grateful for today.
mm,
And so that's kind of how I started with it, where I was just like, okay, like day one, here's 5 positives from today, or
yeah,
5 things that I'm thankful for, or 5 things that I'm looking forward to. And so my or like earlier journal entry days are very much like list based, where it was just
yeah,
like, hey, I know that there's a lot of value in this exercise, and I'm really struggling to get myself to do that and get the most out of it. So what's like the minimum I can do so that I can start to build that habit?
Yeah.
And then once I kind of got into that habit, the entries started to like morph a little bit more, where instead of just saying, five things I'm grateful about, it's like, hey, here's something that happened today, and here's kind of like what my thoughts were on it. Or here's a topic that I've been thinking about and trying to wrap my head around. I'm just like putting it out on paper. I'm also very Christian and very faith-based, and so like I kind of
Ah,
have morphed that into like also kind of like a little bit more of like devotional time and stuff, which works for me. Definitely not like everybody's cup of tea, but
yeah.
that's kind of helped me get with it too. And I was in like a really good trend of it, and then I think it was like before the holidays, like I traveled back for Christmas, and I haven't really gotten back into it since then. So it's on my goal of things
Okay.
to kind of reestablish because I definitely felt more kind of like centered. And I also
Yeah.
think like when there were things that I was stressing about, even if they didn't give me an answer, right? Like putting it out on paper, it doesn't solve the things that you're worried about, but it's like a way of voicing it in a sense.
Yeah.
And so that was also kind of like instead of going to bed kind of dwelling on that, it's like, well, you know what? I wrote it down. Not like I came to an epiphany, but it's out there, it's
It's
said,
there.
and now I
Yeah.
can just, pick it up in the morning and I don't need to do it now. So,
Yeah. I was gonna actually ask you about you just mentioned it there, your faith.
mhm.
Um, like do you find that like that really helps you do what you do? Like do you find like your faith just um is what's the word? Is just really helpful for you to have as part of your life?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think kind of like in all of my decisions in life, I feel like all the pivotal decisions that I've made in life have been very like impulsive, but not
Yeah.
impulsive in the sense of like, oh, I'm just, doing whatever, but just kind of things that come down to like a yes or no decision that is probably something I should have sat on for longer, but I just kind of had like a gut sense of like, this is the right path for me, or this is what I should be doing. And maybe that's just like intuition, or you could attribute it to whatever you want to attribute it to. But for
Mm.
me, I interpret that as like, this is what like God is calling me to do in this moment. And so I saw that like when it came to like my college decision, when it came to like moving to Virginia, like all of the big things in my life. And even like with CrossFit too. It's like I had this sense after like my first week of CrossFit, and then again after my first like CrossFit competition, where I was just like, this feels right to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not questioning this because this feels like what I'm supposed to be doing in this moment. And so yeah, there's definitely like some trying times and like things that have come up, throughout the journey since then. But it's kind of like in all those moments, I'm just like, well, like that kind of internal sense has never steered me wrong yet, and it's still pointing me down this direction. And I'm still loving this, and I'm still very at peace with what I'm doing in this moment. So like, how could this possibly be anything other than like what I'm supposed to be doing right now? And I also think like in the connection that it's given me to like
Yeah.
other people who are both like-minded and view things very differently. Like it has totally transformed my life, and the way that I like interact with others. And so all of that I feel like has just been very like this is what I'm supposed to be doing in this moment. And I think, with all of the trials with it, like with the competitions, with the training, with the hard days and all of that, like I always go back to that sense where it's like being, a Christian or like a faith-based athlete doesn't mean that like it doesn't mean that, God wants me to win, right? Like I think it's always
Yeah.
interesting seeing like how some people will kind of interpret that where it's like, well, like God wanted me to win this event. And it's like, well, that's not entirely true, but he did like put you in these incredible positions and give you these amazing opportunities and also build up your
Yeah.
life such that you had these motivations, these passions, this affirmation that you were doing the right thing at the right time. And that kind of security to fall back on, both in times of success, but also in times of failure, where it's again getting beyond yourself and saying, my
Yeah.
identity and who I am is so much more than what I'm doing on the floor. And I feel like in college, I kind of struggled with that a little bit because if I had a good day, a bad day, whatever, I kind of let that stick with me. And just as I've grown as a person, an athlete, like in Christ and all of that, it's like I can walk away from a competition, maybe feeling disappointed because I know I can give better, but also just feeling okay with it because I know that like who I am is not like who was on that floor for the 12 minutes of that workout or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it, and there's so much more to the athlete journey, the community experience, and all of that. So I think, yeah, I yapped away from your original question.
No, no, no,
But
no.
I
It's
think
interesting
like
to learn these things about you. Like I
yeah,
think
like
a lot of
everybody
people
kind of
can
has their
relate.
like foundation and their basis for their identity. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be through Christ because again, that's like an intentionally person or an intensely personal thing.
Yeah.
But for me it is, and it's just been a huge part of my journey. So
Were you brought up that way? Like, is that what your family were, like, kind of religious or?
yeah, so we were raised, not like super intensely religious, but we went to church on Sundays. And we
Yeah.
went to Sunday school and we went to youth group and all of that. It was, again, for my parents, it was just important for us to have like a faith-based place to grow up. But they never really forced it on us. And I think like that definitely gave me the basis for what my faith looks like now.
Yeah.
But it's also so special to me now because now, again, as an adult, like I've chosen to come back to it. So similar in the sense in like the sporting world where it's like, hey, I used to do things because I had to do them because that's what my coaches and team said, and now I get to choose to do it for myself. It's kind of the same way with like faith, where it's like, hey, I was brought up this way, I was exposed to it. I went to an intensely liberal school with like a ton of people with a ton of different viewpoints. I was exposed to all these different things. And now it's like I'm choosing to come back to it and I'm choosing to have that relationship for myself. And so it's so much more like personal and enlightening, kind of rediscovering that now as an adult, making my own decisions in life and kind of like walking my own walk.
Yeah. Um, so then like the next thing that kind of just popped into my head actually was, and it might be slightly a hard question to answer, I don't know. But so what I've noticed just from like watching vlogs and listening to athletes on podcasts is a lot of CrossFitters, especially in America, are they do have some like sort of faith, that kind of
Mhm.
they carry with them. Do you think like that says something about the type of person that they are, that like they have this strong faith and then they're um like professional athletes? Like, do you think there's a connection there in any way?
Yeah, I think CrossFit is really hard, right? Both, as a competitive side of it, but also just like in the day-to-day choice to go to the gym. And like we talked about at the
Yeah,
start of this call, like choosing to do something that is like, you know, heavy breathing, heart rate, like it's hard to do. And I think for the people who are at the highest level, like it's even harder because there's so much pressure, there's so much expectations, both from yourself and others.
yeah,
And so the people who I think like stick around in it, or the people who have success in it, like you don't stick with something that is that hard unless you have the conviction and the sense of self, and
yeah,
just like the ability to persist through it. And I think that doesn't necessarily have to come from your faith, but I think faith is like a very, very strong foundation for that.
yeah,
And so, like, I think it doesn't really surprise me that in the CrossFit world, there are so many people at that high level, and not even just at the high level, but just so many people in gyms and stuff who do
yeah,
identify as that because that is their source of strength. And
yeah,
everybody doing it has their own source of strength. But that just is one that I think is like also shared across communities with that. And people are just like naturally social creatures, right? Like we seek connection.
yeah,
And
100%.
that's also another, like obviously there's the connection that the CrossFit community brings, but there's also the connection that faith brings. And if you can combine those, like talk about a foundation for a great support system, right?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, so I think, CrossFit is hard. And if you don't have something to like keep you grounded and keep you getting up time and time again when it gets hard, then it just kind of self-selects its way out, I think.
yeah. Do you think that same faith and sense of community was what kept CrossFit together after what happened in 2024
Yeah,
to
I
Lazar?
think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think community especially. And whether that community again is grounded in faith or just the community that was built and inspired in different gyms and everything all across the world. Like I think that was such a horrible and shocking event. And whatever your views are on how like CrossFit HQ handled it, I think
Yeah.
what kept CrossFit going was that the individual gym communities and the athlete communities and everybody who like identified as a CrossFitter who had benefited from the CrossFit methodology kind of came together on their own and said, hey, you
Yeah.
know what? Like, this is a horrible, tragic event. Maybe we agree with HQ, maybe we don't, but that doesn't change the fact that like each of us shows up day after day and we derive like a sense of strength from each other. And like whatever's going on, big picture in the CrossFit space, big picture in the world space, right? Like we could take it even
Yeah.
farther, like the pandemic and all of that, it's like none of that changes the connections that we have in the community.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I know there's like a lot of discussion just in the larger sense with like all of these other things that are popping up. And it's like, well, is CrossFit going to stay or is it not going to stay? And I think like it will always exist. It might look a little bit differently, but
Yeah.
like there's something that's so unique to the CrossFit community when you step inside a gym, and that has
100%.
staying power. Like I think so my gym even we actually de-affiliated for 2024 and we re-affiliated this year, but we had a whole year there where we weren't a CrossFit affiliate.
Okay.
And if you looked at like attendance and community involvement and all of that, like you wouldn't know. Just because like, yeah, CrossFit gave us, what the start for the gym was, but
Yeah.
the community itself is what kept the gym going. And now we've reaffiliated and a lot of really cool things have come with that. And I think it's like net, like so positive, especially like as a competitive athlete, it was really weird, like training in a gym that wasn't like CrossFit when I like competed in CrossFit.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other conversation. But I do think like the community sense there, whether that is like, hey, my gym is very, very Christian or very, whatever. Or just like, hey, my gym is full of really, really awesome people who love and support each other.
Yeah.
And that's what gets people showing up day after day.
Yeah. And I know like Mayhem obviously have the whole like is it four pillars of their mantra or whatever? It's faith, family, fitness, and
I'm not super
service or
familiar
something.
with it.
Yeah, something like that. Faith, family, fitness, and service. Um, and I do remember at the time of like 2024, like a lot of people were trying to like call out Rich and call out Mayhem on like, oh, why are you sticking with CrossFit? Why do you still have the name above your door? And like insinuating that like Rich was basically in bed with Castro and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, come on, guys, like this is not what like CrossFit is about. And like it's not, you know, I know it's like obviously a very horrible event kind of sparked it off. And whatever went on behind the scenes, we'll never fully know because we're just not the people that are meant to know. Um, but yeah, like I still I agree with what you said in that I think for a while since then, CrossFit has been bleeding.
Mhm.
But I think, and I said this to um, Sarah Bolts that I was on a podcast with yesterday, that like it feels like it's kind of coming back.
Mhm.
It's taken probably a bit of time, but like there's definitely that sense of like, you know, people are starting to kind of talk about it again. And the Open was actually, in my opinion, a very big success this year. So like I think it is coming back.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like again, whatever views and relationship and judgment on CrossFit HQ through all of that, that's, whatever people choose to believe. But I
Yeah.
think like for me, like all that aside, like CrossFit 100% changed my life. Like I would not be who I am or in the position that I am or anything like that if I hadn't set foot in a CrossFit gym. And I
Yeah.
think like whatever CrossFit HQ and whatever the games and whatever that landscape looks like, that doesn't change like the incredible work that CrossFit as a, methodology, as an entity,
Yeah.
whatever, has worked in my life and in the stories of so many other people that I know. And I think
Yeah.
people kind of realize that, right? Like I think whenever something like that happens, there's always a huge transition period and, gut feelings and none of that is wrong. But I think
Yeah.
just kind of like as time goes on, people realize or recognize like all the good that is still out there. And the potential good that is still out there too, right? And it's like if you don't like something, you can either, split from it, whatever, or you can kind of like work to change that. And I
Yeah.
think like that's kind of what we've seen this year is just people have really gotten like way more into it again and invested in it again, both from like the CrossFit messaging and HQ and all of that, but I also think within affiliates and communities and
Yeah.
kind of reestablishing that like excitement and community and like fun again that we really struggled with in the last kind of year or so. But
Yeah. And like, I know like that's probably the struggles of CrossFit have probably um coincided with the emergence of the hot new thing, which is like high rocks and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
like others like it. This kind of hybrid. I don't know what it is. I hate the word hybrid athlete or hybrid train. Like I just
Yeah, I
it's
don't love it.
I
It
don't
just
what's it
feels,
supposed to be? Like are you a high rocks athlete or are you a CrossFit? You can't like
yeah.
like if you're saying a hybrid athlete is someone who can do both or can do everything, that's a CrossFit athlete. Like I don't like, I just yeah, I don't know. It kind of it triggers me so much. I just yeah. But yeah, like I think with the emergence of stuff like that, um I think a lot of people did kind of transition away from CrossFit because I suppose people who aren't into the competitive side of it were more like, oh, this is kind of just something fun I can still train for, but like I can just, put my cute little pictures up on Instagram and, say like I did my high rocks and I got my patch and all that kind of stuff. Whereas like as you said, and as we know, CrossFit is freaking hard to do. And like I don't know whether it's another culture shift, but like a lot of people with like AI and all this kind of stuff just don't want to do hard things. And and I think that's why it's maybe hard for people to understand the mind of someone who does CrossFit because like we're very I think it sounds like we're blowing our own trumpets here now, but like we're very unique people because I think we see the value in um doing hard workouts not because like not just for our physical benefits or to aesthetically look good or whatever, but like it does um kind of translate to like this whole thing of like I can go and lift that heavy table off the trailer and bring it into my house, or I can I can I can do
Well, yeah.
just you know or even if I'm in my normal 9 to 5 and like I'm having a hard day, but like I'm someone who maybe does CrossFit in my spare time. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let this day beat me because it's just my competitive nature. Um, so I do think like there's things to compete with for CrossFit now, and I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I think I'm circling back to it. But yeah, like as I was saying, I do think it's making a comeback, and I do like it will look different, but it's great for I suppose for me as a fan of it to see like a lot of the big names are still a part of it, and like I think that's helpful for a lot of people in that like it keeps them believing in it then as well. Like I know like I'm not sure if the likes of Laura Horvath and some other people might not be on good terms with HQ anymore, and I think might be exclusively doing WFP and all that. But um, I still like from what I saw at Wodapalooza, like the community is alive and well, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. Me personally, I would love to see it go back to the 2019 version where there was like sanctionals every weekend because that was just so cool. Um,
Yeah.
but do you have any like, are you hoping to see anything specific from CrossFit in the next couple of years, or would you like, is there anything you would like to see happen or change or?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing would be consistency. Like, I think, so again, I didn't start until 2022 was my first open. So I've heard a lot about, like you said, like 2019 and like, oh, the sanctionals era, the regionals era, like that was peak CrossFit and that was like how the competitive season should be and all that. And I just don't really
Yeah,
have that as a reference point. Um, I do think that, 2022, 3, and I think 4, things change year to year, sure, but at least the overall system was like, okay, open, quarterfinals, semifinals, games. Like
yeah,
very simple.
yeah,
And then last year they just flexed things a little bit, whatever. But I think like whatever they choose to do, I would just love if they just kept it the same for like 2 years in a row, you know?
yeah,
I've never run a massive global event like the CrossFit Games, so that's very easy of me to say, given that like I'm not the one organizing things, I'm not the one building the season structure, I'm not the one
yeah, yeah,
collaborating with different events, whatever. But I feel like it's so hard going into the season and not knowing like what the format even is. And sometimes that creates really, really cool opportunities. Like, so my Hannah and I went and competed at Torian Pro in Australia last year, which was super,
oh
super
yeah,
cool and an incredible event. And if the format stayed the way that it did in 2022, 3, and 4, never could have done that. So
yeah,
it's cool, but then it's just hard looking forward to the next year and saying like, okay, well, what do I need to do as an individual or like on the team side? What do we need to do as a team? And it looks different. And this event has its qualifier before the open even starts. And this event has its other qualifier here. And if you missed it, then you just don't get to do that event. And so
yeah,
it's just like a little weird, I feel like, competing in
yeah,
it when it's always like subject to change. And again, very easy for me to say because I'm not the one in charge and I recognize that.
yeah,
But as someone like competing in it just a little bit, or like when I go to explain it to someone else, when they're like, okay, so how do you get to the games? And I'm like, well, I need to be top X here, but if I don't make there, then we'll go here and all of this stuff. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I kind of feel like I feel like probably any really most years have probably been easy to follow if they were kept like the same the next year. You know,
Yeah.
like I think they tried to do that after 2019, but with the sanctionals, but COVID happened and that just like messed everything up. And then like when when it was 2020, I think HQ just had too much time on their hands to sit around and there's like, you know what, this is going very well. Let's change it. you know,
All
so
right.
so yeah, like it's yeah, consistency as I always say when I'm coaching as well, like consistency is key. So it would be, yeah, I agree with you. It would be very nice to see um like some consistency there. You said you're going team this year.
Yeah.
Is this so you've been doing this since 2022 competitively? Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my
Um
first open was 2022. I didn't start working with Connor until August of 2022. So I wouldn't say I've been doing it
okay.
like competitively.
Yeah.
23 was probably my first one where I was like, okay, I'm actually like doing this for real, but basically the same. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Um, and so far, um, what's the furthest you've gone? Has it been semifinals?
Yeah, so last year was my first semifinal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which semifinal was it? Was it like a named one or?
It was Torian Pro in
Oh, that
Australia.
was the tour. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, which was such a cool event. If you ever get to talk to any of them, you 100% sure because you 100% should because they put on an incredible event down there. So,
Yeah, a lot of the Australians aren't responding to my DMs. I'm gonna have to try harder.
so fair. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was
Torian Pro
my
looks sick.
first so yeah, I've only ever competed as an individual in CrossFit. I mean, I've
Okay.
done like some one-off ones.
Yeah.
Like Hannah and I just went pairs at Fit of the Coast like last year just for fun, but I competed as an individual there too. Um,
Okay.
basically when I got into CrossFit, it was just individual athlete, which was so cool also coming from
Yeah,
like a lifetime of team sports. It's like, well, now you just live and die on your own merit.
yeah,
And you're not obligated to anybody else. It's just you on the floor, like you're choosing to do it. Um, and then yeah, made my first semifinal last year. Went to Australia, competed there. It was absolutely incredible, such a fun time. Came back and was planning on just, making another run for semifinals this year.
yeah,
Um, but then Luke had approached me and he was like, "Hey, me, Hannah, and Riley are putting together a team for the season. How do you feel about being, our fourth girl? I know you want to compete as an individual, but like, would you be interested?" And honestly, it was a no-brainer. Like, I love competing as an individual, but I think like I didn't know Riley at the time, but like Luke and Hannah are some of my like closest friends and they're my training partners and they're just good humans and they vouched for Riley.
yeah,
So I was like, well, he's got to be a good human too if Luke and Hannah are speaking so highly of him. It's going to be a really fun time. We're going to have a really good group. So
yeah,
yeah, like let's go for it. And it's been so much fun. Definitely carries a lot of the same stressors as like team sports back in the day, right? Where you never want to let the
yeah,
team down.
yeah,
But it also is just like so much of the good as well. And again, like we talked a lot about like choice and stuff earlier. It's like, well, in team sports growing up, you don't get to choose your teammates. But this year, we did get to choose our teammates.
yeah,
And they're all incredible people, and I've been having so much fun training with them and just having that like support system. Because you have that support as an individual athlete, like you have your crew, you have your training partners, but it's
yeah.
cool being on a team again, especially like I said with people that I really enjoy being around. So.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So how does your kind of season structure look as a team? So so the Open has finished. Did you have to
Mhm.
do the Open
We did, yes, yeah, everybody had to do.
individually or as a team or
Yeah,
even?
so the way that they do it for teams in the open is everybody completes the workout as an individual and then they just sum your scores. So the same way they did it for
Ah,
Wodapalooza, it's
okay.
just that. And then they put you on like a separate team leaderboard of all the teams that are signed up. So I didn't have to do the workouts twice or
Ah,
anything like that. It's just you do the
okay.
workout, your three teammates do the workout, they put your times, reps, whatever, all together, and that's your team score. And so for teams, there is no quarterfinal. It just goes straight from the open to semifinals. But you can
Oh,
kind of choose like what semifinal you compete at the same way as the individual side. So there is an online
okay.
semifinals that's like, I think it's like the first weekend in June. And every team
Okay.
that does the open qualifies for online semifinals. But
Uh,
and 7 of the 20 game spots come from that online semifinal. But the other 13 are allocated from like a couple of in-person semifinal events that happen like a little bit earlier.
okay.
And so for those earlier events, they all have like a little bit of a different qualification process, same as it is on the individual side. For all of them, you have
Yeah.
to do the open. But some of them had different qualifiers. Some of them like chose from your global leaderboard. And so for us, just because of people's like scheduling and travels and things like that, there was only one in-person semifinal that we were really looking at doing because there's only one in all of North America that sends teams to the games. And
Okay.
that's Syndicate Crown, which is in Knoxville, Tennessee at the end of May. And
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so to qualify for syndicate, you just had to be top 40 teams in the world in the open.
Okay.
And then they backfill from there. And so we qualified for syndicate. We signed up this weekend. So right, we're planning on
Awesome.
going to syndicate. And then if we podium there, we make the games. If we don't podium there, then we do online semifinals to try and make the games that way.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, that's cool. And do you prefer the online format or do you prefer in person or
I would much rather do in person. I
yeah.
hate the online format. I would just so much rather do the event on the floor with a judge,
Yeah.
with chip timer, with whatever,
Yeah.
with the team that you're competing with or the individual you're competing with in the lane next to you, and you just know how it shakes out. With the online format, there's so much like stressing and analyzing and video reviewing, and it's like, do we need to redo this or redo that, or can we shave off a second here? Can we, add a rep here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so different mentally.
Yeah.
And like sometimes, some ways that's great because it's like, hey, well, you get to do it from like the comfort and security of your own gym, right? Like you get your favorite
Yeah.
barbell, you get your favorite bar, you get your perfect floor setup,
Yeah.
whatever.
You know how it's structured. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you sleep in your own bed, you can structure your own day around it, you can train when you want to, you can, whatever you want to do. And you get
Yeah.
do-overs, right? If something goes horribly wrong, you can just redo the workout. But I would much rather like 100% of the time, maybe like 99% of the time. I'm sure there's like something in there, but I would much rather compete live.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
and that's also
And
like why we do it, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't do the sport so that I can like put my scores in online and upload YouTube videos. Like I do it so I can compete in person. And
Yeah.
so it's like if you don't want to be out on the floor, then it's like, okay, we'll just go, whatever,
Yeah.
do
It was
semifinals
kind
or
of like
finals.
it sounds kind of like the 2020 ranch games. I don't know if you saw the games in 2020 where it was the five on each side.
I knew a little bit about the format of it, but I didn't fully know because I think it was
Yeah.
it was like you qualified through the Open, but then or some other events, but then there was
Yeah.
like COVID, and so then they did like a first phase that was online,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They did like phase one and phase two or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
They
like
were
okay,
basically
cool,
just
the CrossFit Games, but not really.
yeah. It was yeah, it was weird because it was like there was no fans obviously except for like I think there was some part of the ranch that was like no, it wasn't the ranch. It was like down the road from the ranch and it was like a big field or something and there was like houses and stuff where people could kind of like stand outside the fence and look in and so that was the closest thing they had to fans. But it was just like it was so weird that like, there wasn't really any I don't think there was music. Um and like all you could just hear was like Fraser's coach,
Oh,
Catherine's
geez.
coach, like it was like just kind of like saying stuff like every couple of minutes, and it was just yeah, it was weird. It was just so like yeah, going back to what you said, like that's why we do it is to like things like the Open we throw down in front of each other and like we support each other and I don't think there's a single other sport in the world where you can finish a race alongside someone like that you're competing against and still give them a high five or a knuckle bump and say good job, well done.
Exactly. Yeah. And
you
I think
know
it's just like it's so much just more about like you doing you,
yeah,
versus like a lot of other sports that are out there that you're like, head to head with someone or like
yeah,
teams facing off or anything like that. Where it's like in CrossFit, it's like you have complete control over what you're doing, within reason.
yeah,
Sometimes you just get, rough judging or whatever. But
yeah,
for the most part, you're just in control of it. And so you just go out, you do your best, you run your race. And if you win, you win, and if you lose, you lose. And it's at the end of the day, that's all it is. And so like he's like, yeah,
yeah,
you can turn around, high five, say like, hey, great job. Maybe get a little like fired up or something if you lose or if you win, but it's just
yeah.
you. And I think that's kind of cool.
I'm gonna actually ask you a question now that again it's just a kind of random thing that popped into my head that happens to me a lot. But basically something that I saw once was I think it was regionals a couple of years ago, and there was a guy finishing a workout. He was the last one on the floor, and like there was that thing where the guys who have finished will kind of rally around him and like
Yeah.
try and get the crowd going. I
Yeah.
remember Josh Bridges standing back from all of them and being asked why he wasn't getting involved, and he just kind of said, "That guy doesn't want that." He was like in that guy's head. He's like, "Get the fuck away from me" and stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate your support, but it's just the athlete in me that doesn't want that. Like, where would you fall on something like that? Would you be kind of because I know like Noah Olson and Cole Sager, they're big like cheerleaders from time to time. Like, so would you agree with that kind of view that Bridges had that like you don't want
Yeah.
that. You just kind of want to finish and, you know,
Yeah.
if you're the last person.
Like if I'm the athlete in that situation, like I would not want people there cheering for me at all
Yeah.
because I would just be like, listen, I know I'm losing. I'm like, I know that I'm struggling here. I'm having a bad time. It's great. I
Yeah.
don't need you who just finished your event here, like cheering for me because now you're all happy because you're done. But
Yeah.
that being said, I also don't hold it against them because I know that it's coming from like a
Yeah.
really positive and supportive place. You know what I mean? And so in like overall, it's like I'm actually grateful to you for that because you're being supportive and you're being encouraging. Just me
Yeah,
internally, I would so much rather you just like not be there. But
yeah,
also part of being like an athlete and competing in person is like you don't get to control what everybody else is doing around you. And so
of
if
course.
you get hung up on that or if you get like really personally irritated or pissed off or something like that's something that you kind of need to sit with. Because you know it's coming from a very positive place.
Yeah, of
Uh, and odds are like you're just upset about it because you're kind of upset at what you are doing yourself in that moment.
course. Yeah,
So yeah, I personally like wouldn't want that. But also I
you
think
see the
like
merit in it.
exactly. And like
Yeah,
larger as a whole, like so much what we talked about, right, is like
yeah,
CrossFit and community. And so I think it's awesome that people will do that for their competitors, right? It's like, hey,
yeah,
I want you to do well. Even if in the moment, like if I am that athlete, I'm kind of like, hey,
yeah,
please don't, like leave me alone. Just let me finish my workout. I don't need you. I don't need you here.
yeah,
Um, but again, that just comes from the place of like being the athlete in that moment and being like so uncomfortable and so like upset about it.
yeah.
You know?
Uh,
Because I mean, it is an interesting sport. Like you don't really see that in other sports, right? Like
yeah. No,
ever. It's like, hey, like you
no,
lose, tough. Like I
none.
won, it's
Yeah,
better for me, whatever.
yeah. Usually
Um,
rubbing it in your face.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Logan, I won't keep you too much longer because I know we've been talking for a good while now. But I'm just gonna ask you a one or two more things.
Yeah.
What does your life like outside of training? So like Logan Thomas, that's not the CrossFit athlete. That's not probably what people see online or whatever. What
Sure.
does that version of Logan Thomas look like?
Yeah. So I'm actually in like a really cool era of my life right now because I actually quit my job last December. And
Oh,
so if
wow.
you had asked me that question like a couple months ago or like in 2025, I'd have a very different answer for you. But now it's kind of like I left my job just because I didn't really like what I was doing and I wanted to find something new. And then Luke approached me about going team like 2 days later. And so that's when
Oh,
I made the decision to basically put off what my next career move was going to be.
yeah,
And just embrace the flexibility and the fun in just like training for a couple months. So last year it would have been like, oh, here's when I train and here's my job and here's when I do my second session and whatever else.
yeah,
But now it's like very much more kind of like free form. So I'm coaching at my gym. Like I use this opportunity to kind of like get back into the community more.
cool.
Just because I was so my background and my degrees and stuff are engineering, and so it was very much like
Nice.
lab work, research, data, things like that.
Yeah,
Which was great when I kind of started, but as I've just grown as a person, I want to be more like people facing. And so I talked to the owner of my gym because I was like on staff, but I mostly covered like open gyms and things. And so I was like, hey, can we
okay,
revisit that idea of me like coaching classes and working with people? And so I'm coaching a lot of classes at my gym, which has been really, really a lot of fun, kind of getting to like work with others and kind of spread, what I love about CrossFit to other
yeah,
people. And I'm doing a little bit of work on the side for one of my friends' companies, just basically kind of like get some income to help support life, but also just
of
like take
course.
the opportunity and like I've got enough in savings and stuff that I can kind of like fully embrace what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And so basically that just means I spend way more time at the gym now than I ever did because one, I'm coaching, but two, it's like I don't have limits on like my training, right? Like it used to be like, hey,
yeah,
my window is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then I got to go to work and then I got to come back and train from like 6 to 8. So like you got to get it done. Whereas now it's
yeah,
like, hey, I coach the 9 and then I'm going to train for like however long I want to train.
yeah, of
Um, because like obviously I've got my program and I got to get through things, but it's
course.
been cool because it gives me more time to get more into like the skill side of things or the accessory side of things, or take the
Yeah,
time if something isn't feeling right when I'm warming up to really break down like what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, so that's been kind of fun is just like kind of exploring other things that I want to do with like life and career and things like that. And basically I gave myself the season to just like embrace the fun of it and then I'll kind of figure out like what comes next. But yeah.
absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
What's the goal for this season?
Yeah, I mean we want to make the games and we want to I mean podium at the games, but obviously that's like
Oh.
you never know what's going to happen. There's a lot of really good teams out there, but that's kind of the goal that
Yeah.
we set for ourselves. Yeah.
Is there any one team or individual you're looking forward to competing or wanting to compete against?
I don't think there's anyone kind of like specifically. I think all of us are kind of on the same page. We're like, we're just running our own race and we're out there
Yeah.
to like show up and do our jobs and have fun while we're doing it and just do the best that we can. And also recognizing that there's like a lot of other people out there who are doing the same thing, right? And kind of like we talked about at the end of the day, all you can control is what your team is doing. And so I don't know if we, there's not like a team out there that like we've got like beef with. We're like, hey, we're gonna, take you
Yeah.
down. Obviously, like you know the other teams that are out there, and you know people on
Yeah.
the teams that are out there, and there's always that kind of personal like pride and stuff where you've got people that
Yeah.
you want to beat. But there's nobody that we're really like, hey, we're coming after you this season, you know?
Oh, okay. You're not like fuck these mayhem guys or these Invictus guys.
No, and like the CrossFit world is so small too, right? That like
Yeah.
some all these other teams, and it's like, again, hey, like I like you. I don't like you enough that I hope you beat me. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. So,
Yeah.
I wish you success in your season. I just wish you maybe a little bit less success than
Than me.
my success.
And
So,
would you eventually like to go back to individual?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes. I really like competing as an individual, again, just because I never really got to do that until now.
Yeah.
But the cool part about the space now is that there's a lot of opportunities outside of the game season to also
Yeah.
kind of test that out. And so, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if like our team will stay together after this year or what
Yeah.
that will kind of look like, but I think so for me to go team, it would have to be with the right group of people. And that's what's so special
Yeah.
about this year is that I like the people. Like I'm not going to go team just to go team.
Just yeah.
I'd go team because I care about you guys as people and I think we'd have a great time. And so if this team, like dissolves or whatever, then I'll go back to individual gladly.
Yeah.
If this team decides like, hey, well, we want to give it, another run, then I mean, I'll make that decision when we get there, but I would definitely strongly consider it. Knowing that like, hey, there's other things to go for as an individual, right? Like, hey, I did
Yeah.
Wodapalooza team this year, but I could always try Wodapalooza as an individual, or there's the WFP season, or just all
Yeah.
these other opportunities that you can still compete as an individual, but still, go team for the games. So we'll see. That's a question for, July, I guess, or
That's
the
that's
fall.
future
But
Logan's problem.
exactly. Yeah. Future
Yeah.
Logan when she figures out like what her next career move is and what next season's gonna look like and all of that.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, that's I love your views on all these things. It's really
Yeah.
cool to listen. Um, so basically, what I'm gonna do, because as I said, I think we've been talking for a good while, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. Because as I said, I know you're a busy person. But
Okay,
I
less
I've
busy
really
now.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. And like obviously this is the first time. I apologize again that my camera isn't working. I don't know why it's not working, but
Good.
um, like I hope that maybe we can do this again sometime in the future. And obviously I know your season will get busier as you get towards August, but um yeah, I'm hoping that we can reconnect again at some point because I've had a good time talking to you, and yeah, I hope you've kind of enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been great. Yeah. Thanks for letting me yap away for an hour and a half. No,
That's awesome.
honestly, it's been great. Thanks for having me on. I love, talking CrossFit and journeys
Same.
and faith and all of that. And so it's been a really fun time. Yeah.
I'm not going to let you go just yet because I have some quick fire questions to throw at you before we
Okay.
finish up. So I've done these once before with another guest. So I'm gonna do them with you as well. Okay.
Geez. Okay.
So are you ready? We have some fitness ones and then we just have some general normal questions. So it's like a
Okay.
yes or no thing. Okay. Right. So
Okay.
number one, snatch or clean and jerk.
Ooh, snatch.
Okay. Long runs or short sprints.
Short sprints.
Ooh, okay, controversial. Uh, ooh, this might be a little bit outside of um your realm, but Carson or Madison?
Ooh, probably Madison, just because I've
Yeah,
seen more like footage from
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Handstand walk or wall walk?
Handstand walk.
I actually like a good wall walk. I'm at least I can stay on the
Wallets
wall.
are harder, in my opinion.
Oh, they
Especially
are for
on the real
sure.
floor. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know I'm kind of like 99% sure on a wall walk I'm not gonna f fall on my face.
That's fair. So fair.
Echo bike or C2 bike?
Echo bike.
Oh, cool. Okay. Katrin or Annie?
Ooh, Annie.
Okay. Froning or Fraser?
Froning.
Ooh,
Really? That's
controversial
like that's a
again.
really. I feel
I
like
would have
that's a
said
new. I just had to
Fraser.
double check in my brain that I was saying the right one because they're both F's, but
Yeah,
like, Rich
I would have
Fraser.
said Fraser because he won it 5 times. But anyway, that's my opinion. Weighted vest or Go Rock
Ooh, vest.
vest. Okay. I don't know if you're a big energy drinks person, but Monster or Rain.
Ooh, I don't really do either. So
Okay.
I'll say rain,
Which one
maybe. Is
looks
that
nice?
the right
Which one
answer?
looks has a nicer can?
Okay, I'll say Monster just because I feel like they've been around forever and that's like
Yeah.
nostalgic from
Yeah.
yeah, back
I,
in the day.
yeah, maybe I should have gone like tea or coffee, but I
Yeah.
the answer
I've
probably would have.
had a Monster before. I've never had a rain. So do with
Oh,
that what
okay.
you.
I've heard it's the same company, but I don't know if that's
Oh,
true or not.
okay.
This one's like a four-way one. So Reebok, Noble, Tier, or Gym Reapers.
Ooh, probably that's a hard one.
Yeah,
Um, I'll say tier.
Tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people like Tier. I think their stuff is nice. Their logo is simple.
Yeah.
It's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they do
But
like
I
good
do like Gym
stuff.
Reapers. I'm not super familiar with Gym Reapers yet. Wodapalooza was
Yeah,
kind of my first experience with it, but so far I like them a lot. I just don't know
yeah.
enough. But,
I think most people were the same, but they put on a good show.
yeah.
It was yeah. Um, 1 hour of lunges or 1 hour of squats.
Squats for
One-
sure.
I love that you didn't ask me like, is it a reverse lunge or just like a?
Does
You were just
not
like, it doesn't
matter.
matter.
Absolutely. Nope. Any lot. Nope. Just nope. Squats for sure.
Right. So we're moving into the kind of normal ones. Okay. So summer or winter?
Summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Cats or dogs?
Oh, okay. I like both, but I own a cat, so I have to say cat.
Oh, okay. You have a cat now or in your family
Yeah.
home?
I have a
Oh,
cat
okay.
now. He's, I don't know,
Oh,
around here somewhere. Yeah.
he's running.
Yeah. He's on the floor
Cat,
right next to
cats are
me.
just so chill, aren't they? They just don't
They're
give a fuck.
so chill. They're so
Yeah,
chill. And he like, so he's a cat, but he kind of acts more like a dog, so it's kind of best of both worlds. So yeah.
that's cool. 4th of July or Paddy's Day?
4th of July.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're so American. You gotta
I
do
have to, yeah.
that. Target or Walmart?
Target. Although,
Yeah.
okay, I will say that Target has really let me down in recent days, but I still have to say
Oh,
Target. Yeah.
yeah. We went to me and Amy, my partner. I brought her to New York for the first time in 2024. It was our first time in America, and
Okay.
just could not get her out of Target. Like she just like yeah. And
My issue
there's
with
so much
Target,
there.
there's so much, and I think that's my problem with it, is that I
Yeah.
go looking for something very specific. I walk around for 45 minutes and then I don't find what I was looking for. So like any day, I love Target so much more than Walmart, but at least Walmart, I find what I was looking for in the
Yeah,
four.
that's true. Yeah. Um yeah. Whenever we used to go on holidays to Orlando, there was always a wall not a Walmart. Yeah, there was a Walmart, but there was always a McDonald's in it. So that's why I always used to love Walmart when I was a kid.
Sure. Very different
Uh,
vibes. Yeah.
yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
Super Bowl or World Cup?
Oh, is there a neither option? I guess I have to say Super Bowl. I don't know. So my old job was with professional football in a sense. And
Oh,
so like
really?
football was very much my life for like 5 years.
Oh,
Um, so I guess I'll have to say Super Bowl,
oh,
even though I'm
okay.
not a super avid fan.
Yeah. Well, you'd be Denver, so you technically would be a Broncos fan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
we'll say that. We'll say that. Um, and then we just got two more. Messi or Ronaldo?
Ooh, okay, this is hard because I don't know a lot about soccer, but I think I have to say Messi.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, it's a very debatable one.
Yeah,
Yeah, depends on who you support.
yeah.
And then the last one is Jordan or LeBron.
Ooh, Jordan.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's just for legacy, really. I
Have
think you gotta go.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
have
like with
to.
the shoes and TV. Yeah, you just gotta.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
fair. Um, but yeah, that is our quick fire questions. I know they were very random, but like
No, I love it. Got me thinking about stuff.
yeah, I love how quick you were of the answers though. Some people might have kind of like deliberated a little bit and then
Well,
they
that's
kind
the
of answered.
goal, right? It should be
Yeah,
like, hey, you gotta
that's
answer and you gotta
true.
stick to it because you answered for a reason. So
That's true. I love it. Yeah, thank you so much. That was really, as we say in Ireland, that was really good crack. So that was good fun. So yeah, I know asking someone in America if they have good crack is means probably
yeah, a
something
little
different.
bit of a different interpretation there, but that's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, so a little bit of Irish slang there for you, but
I'll have to use
yeah,
that one.
yeah. You just go into the gym now next time and like ask when you're with the team, just ask them any crack, how
Any crack
you
today? Yeah.
yeah, any crack, yeah, what's going on? And yeah, just watch their faces, just
Yeah,
drop.
right. They'll love that one.
Yeah, but Logan Thomas, thank you so much for being on this podcast with me. I have loved the past hour and a half, I think that it's been since we've been
Yeah.
we've been talking. Before we finish up, do you have any sponsors or any family or friends you want to shout out or anything like that? Or-
Yeah, so I actually literally like 20 minutes before hopping on this call just signed my first contract with a sponsor.
Awesome.
Um, so I'll shout out RF Supplements. They're really cool. They
Cool.
sponsored the Wodapalooza team, and so I got to talking with the crew down there. And they just brought me on. So super grateful to them. Check out their stuff. Use my discount code when I have one. I don't have one yet, but use my discount code.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll shout out them and then shout out my team, Luke Burns, Hannah Hardy, Riley Good. Stay tuned for us this season.
Watch out.
Solidarity CrossFit Base Camp is our team name. So hopefully
Okay.
we'll be at the games, but we'll see.
Awesome. And where can people find you or get in touch with you if they want to support you or
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the best bet. My Instagram is just at Logan underscore Thomas. So pretty simple.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
keeping it simple. Um, yeah, Logan, thank you so much. I will 100% be following your season with you
Thank
guys as
you.
it goes along, and as I said, hopefully we can hop back on for a call at some stage in the future, and um, yeah, hopefully I'll be interviewing you as a games podium athlete. That's which yes, I want to wish you the very best of luck with your season, and best of luck to Hannah and to Luke and to Riley as well. You'll probably have to forewarn them that I will be sliding into their DMs at some point. So
Definitely.
watch out. Yeah, I'm not just a spam robot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're great
um,
people. Yeah. You'll love
yeah,
them.
but yeah, Logan, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and look, best of luck with everything this season. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been great chatting with you.
Awesome. Thank you very